So yesterday I was thinking about how I wanted to make YouTube videos again, and I ended up settling on commentary videos while playing Minecraft 2016 Technoblade style, and I tried recording that, and I realized I suck at two things, playing video games while talking, and playing video games in the first place. So after like an hour and a half of me just like complaining into the microphone, being bad and losing every single game, I gave up. And now I realized, what if I can just record the audio afterwards and only use the good footage? So voiceovers, it's so easy. So I can just script what I want to, and then just play back all the footage of me actually not being terrible. So, like 2% of the time. So the final question was, what am I actually going to talk about in this video? It's talking about like the game that's boring if you're not actually playing it in real time. So I remembered I have so many good stories from middle school that I can tell that will get me free content. It's so easy. So that's what I'm here today to do. Any story of my middle school experience would be incomplete if it did not start with the story of my 6th grade science teacher, Mr. Dan. Mr. Dan wandered to our school because he was told that it was a gifted and talented special school where everyone cares about school and respects teachers. That could not be farther from the truth. If you've ever been to a magnet school, you know that like 60% of the kids don't care about school whatsoever and never try because they realize that they're smart enough to get into any college or a job afterwards because they have standardized test scores that are good. Regardless, we were terrible. And it did not take Mr. Dan long to actually realize this. So, he hated his job for pretty much the entire year. He never missed an opportunity to tell us how much he hated us or that we were all disappointments and how he just wanted to go home and never see us ever again. So it was not especially a good year for him, but me being a great student, I of course contributed to all of this and made his life even worse. So he really didn't like me, which leads me to the first story of two. I did not make his life especially easy in class. I went out of my way to make him upset, but so he put me in he assigned me a partner for the rest of the year for all the projects with this girl, we'll call her Sherry. Sherry was like really smart and she actually cared and she was like really nice and respectful to all the teachers, and it's like mega try hard on like every single assignment. Anyway, so he put me with her, so I was thinking at the time, it's like, oh yeah, but he's probably putting me with her so I could like learn from her and like learn and be more respectful or whatever. No, wrong. That was not why he did it. He did it for revenge. Every single day, he did not miss an opportunity to remind me that the only reason I wasn't failing the class is because she was carrying me the whole time. I was just a disappointment to him. I was doing everything wrong and I would just be like completely lost if it weren't for the great guidance of my partner. I specifically remember this one assignment. It was at the end of the year. It was a big project. It was like we had to design like this eco-friendly city. It took like 2 weeks and it was like a bunch of information. So me and Sherry split it 50-50. And I actually had to do part of her project as well. So it was probably like 55-45. So we go up to present it. I'm like proud of my work. I spent a lot of time on this. And he just like clowns on me as soon as we're finished. Like, Davis, you wouldn't have been able to do it if it weren't for Sherry. She's so much better than you and everything. It's like, really, man, really, I care. It doesn't even matter. He's just flaming me in front of my entire class. So, at the time, I didn't really like Mr. Dan, but like I kind of did. I don't really know how to explain it. All the kids liked him. He hated us, and we kind of didn't like him at the same time. But all of that was immediately gone near the end of the year when he did something so legendary that it will never be forgotten in the history of the school. And that leads me to story number 2. So story number 2, I wasn't even technically there for. I know, getting scammed, not even getting a direct eyewitness. Come on, I thought you'd get better commentary. What do you expect? Anyway, so this kid, he was in 8th grade. He was in Mr. Dan's one of his elective classes. It was just basically a free class from what I understand. So this kid is generally like a troublemaker. He kind of enjoyed getting a rise out of the teachers and his fellow classmates. So he was just doing what he always does, and just making people upset, making Mr. Dan hate himself, hate his job, wanted to leave. And I mean, maybe this was all part of Mr. Dan's master plan. I mean, you'll see. Anyway, so this kid was doing that, and Mr. Dan had it off. He stood up, stares directly at the kid, and says, "This is the reason your parents got divorced." Like, first of all, I applaud him for being brave enough to say that as a teacher. Like, that is the easiest, that is the straight path to never getting employed ever again. Like, you can't say that to an 8th grader, but the kid deserved it. And immediately, this spread throughout the entire school, and we're all just, like, praising this man as a legend. Like, he just said that to this kid. I mean, the kid, like, I don't know if I can say deserved it, because that's, like, sounds kind of mean to say that, but, like, he had it coming. So we were all just like, yeah, Mr. Dan, he's the best. And then the administration just like, no, Mr. Dan is not the best. You can't just bully students like that. And they fired him. And so he just left, and we never saw him again. And then they brought in like this kindergarten teacher to be our substitute teacher for the last 2 weeks, and she's just like terrible at everything. Never taught anything past like the 1st grade. And she was just like singing little songs to us, and we had to sing with her. It was dumb, and I hated it. I actually started to miss being called an incompetent loser who couldn't do anything right. They call it Stockholm syndrome. I'm not really sure. But Mr. Dan was a legend. All the people who had him. I mean, like, there were only a few kids who actually had it. Now that thinking about it, and none of them still go to that school because we were in 6th grade. And yeah. So only us. We will always remember Mr. Dan as like, the greatest legend to ever bless the school. And we were like, whenever I talk to my old friends from that school, like that is seriously something we usually bring up. We usually talk about Mr. Dan. And so I'm glad he left a footprint on our school. I mean, I don't think he wanted to. Again, he kind of hated us, but you know, he did that, and he was a great inspiration to me to do better, because I am always incompetent no matter what. That's what I learned from that class, and that's the takeaway from most of life. Like, you know, if you're doing anything wrong, you should just go to Mr. Dan. He'll make sure to remind you of it. So that's all I can think to talk about today for Mr. Dan. I mean, there was some other. He taught another class that I was also in. I mean, it's called financial planning. Like, we joined the class because it's just like, oh yeah, he's gonna teach us how to like do life skills, and then it immediately just like became a let's bully Mr. Dan and make him hate us and just like shout at us and like just leave the classroom one day. It's just, like, he was a legend like that. He didn't even care. But yes, that is all. That is the Mr. Dan saga. I don't think I'm really forgetting anything. And have a wonderful day, and goodbye. Also, I would be remiss if I did not include the story of when one of my friends who was like, I mean, kind of a troublemaker. He's in my grade, not the same kid as the other story, but one day he just walked into class in the morning. Mr. Dan looked at him. He's just like, "Oh no, just sit in the hall. I cannot deal with you this morning." Like, the kid hadn't even said anything. He already gave up on him before the day even started. He just sent him out into the hall, and he sat like that for the entire class period. I thought that was hilarious.